Alright class, good morning and thank you for coming in on time. Today's lesson is about evaporation. Okay, so we are going to go to different online channels today to help us understand and also to help you in your learning today. So before we start, please take out your tablets for today's lesson. Thank you. Okay, I suppose today's lesson should not have any issues and learning should be quite enjoyable and a breeze for them since I'm tapping quite heavily into the use of new media and its related tools for today's lesson. Okay, great. Hey, Mrs. Tan, this school quite smart leh. I heard from my girl that their learning now includes a lot of new media tools or new media platforms. And this helped her a lot in her learning. She said now learning is easier and more fun. Wow, is it? Wow, I must go back and ask my son. I wonder if what the auntie said are true. Has new media really made learning easy? Maybe I can find out more. Hi ma'am, do you think the use of new media can make learning easy?
Huh? Why? Can what? So far, so much information. It's good for learning what?
Okay, thank you ma'am for your time. Hi sir, what about you? Do you think the use of new media can make learning easy?
New media, I think good. Students seem more engaged when they learn through digital channels like YouTube channel or e-learning kind of platforms. So in a way, I guess if they are engaged by it, then of course learning will be easy for them.
Yes indeed. Thank you sir for your time. From what I have gathered, it does seem that the use of new media can make learning easy, mainly because it provides students with a lot of information and is also seen to be successful in engaging students in their learning. Well, students aside, even we as working adults find the use of new media inevitable and use it in our daily life. Okay, first things first, let's talk about information that is provided by the new media. With the inception of new media, rather than the traditional top-down teaching that happens in a classroom, learning has now been brought into a horizontal space as well. This also means that rather than just waiting for the teachers to teach and give the information to the students, learning is now made easier and faster as information can now be easily gained at the student's fingertip and knowledge can be readily accessible at just a click of a button 24/7. In fact, there is also an estimated 60 billion web pages free for the public to access and tap into. So with new media, I think of course it makes sense to say that learning is somewhat made easier since the students now have the World Wide Web, also known as www, as their teacher. However, the question now is, does having more information from the new media then equates to easy learning? Maybe not. You may be curious as to why is that so. Well, when there is easy accessing information, a whole new level of learning complication can set in as well. For example, when students obtain information so easily, it will come to a point where they are bombarded with too much information. And when that happens, will students then know what kind of information is useful and what is not? Maybe not. While getting their information from new media sources, they may also find it increasingly difficult to separate commercial from non-commercial content. And when this happens, it may cause more confusion to the learner since he or she may not know how to evaluate the reliability of information from the sources. So, in many ways, learning is no longer as easy as a stroll in a park. Right? With the use of new media tools, learning is now even more difficult, since on top of knowing the content of the topic, they now also have to learn how to process the information from numerous sources, and have to learn how to separate messages from self-interested parties and differentiate fact from falsehood, all while working with new media. It definitely does seem that even though the use of new media can provide lots of information that helps in learning, it does ironically also complicates the process of learning with those information. That's an interesting point. Okay, what about the use of new media in learning engagement? Does it help to make learning easy? Let's find out more. The birth of new media has introduced many interactive modes of learning, such as the YouTube video or even the social media platforms that students are so familiar with. Research has also shown that by leveraging on the power of these powerful platforms, students can be kept glued to their screens and remain attentive in their lesson. Actually, what this means is that new media helps make learning alive and interesting for the learners. With the use of new media, many a times, it is as if students can see theories and concepts in action. Or in a figurative sense, theories and concepts may be seen coming alive from the screen for the students. And this does wonder in captivating the students' interest in the theories and concepts under discussion, hence furthering students' interest and helping their learning. Wow, the lesson definitely looks more fun and interesting. It does seem that new media makes learning more engaging and fun. But is that really the case all the time? Let's find out. At times, learning can also be derailed when the medium becomes too disruptive and distracts learners from the intended purpose of learning. It becomes more of a distraction rather than an engagement. So on top of the intended subject topic, learners now have to peel through layers of distractions in order to learn. In such cases, can we still say that learning has been made easy with new media? On top of that, learning can also become difficult and unfruitful when the source is loaded with so much content that are linked to so many different connections that they quickly distract learners from the intended purpose and learning activities. Like this. With such instances happening, can we still say that learning has been made easy by new media? Or do we even know if learning has taken place at all? There is no doubt that new media is and will continue to be a big part of our day-to-day life. Even though there are still possible drawbacks while using them, it might be more effective to teach our students how to use new media to their advantage rather than to keep it away from the education process. For a start, getting students into a digital literacy lesson can be a great way to leverage on what they know and educate them on what they don't. It is only by teaching them the correct way in engaging the new media can it then permanently change the way our students learn. And by knowing how, they can then effectively harness on the advantages that come out of it and eventually be the biggest winner of their own learning. And with that, we have come to the end of the video. Thank you for your time and goodbye.